Hello and welcome all of you to my YouTube channel Animals and Pets with Partha. I have been uploading some very nice videos which relates to some of the very prominent personalities of the dog world who have been in the fancy for maybe 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades. So it's my endeavor to bring to you personalities from across the country and around the world who are important to the animals and the pets world. But sometimes I will come back to you with some basic issues. And today, in India, the dog registration, which is a big thing, because there are millions and millions of dogs that are bred and owned by people in this country. Only a very small fraction of the dogs are actually registered, or their parentage are registered. Now I would like to solve the myth about the papers of the dogs. Several countries have various registries. Like in the US, you have so many registries. You have the American Kennel Club, the United Kennel Club, the International All Breeds Canine Association, or whatever it's called. They have a registry. They have their own systems of dog shows and things like that. And you are free to go and show to under any of these shows. It's your desire. In India also we have several registries. They are all recognized by the government of India. They fulfill all the legal requirements to run a registry. And the smaller registries that are there, which are growing today, which is the Indian National Kennel Club, which has been in operation for the last 60 odd years or more. I will of course get you representatives of those organizations to talk to you and explain about the registries. Then you have the United Kennel Club, which is under the World Kennel Union, as I get to know. They are operating in the north of India and in and around Punjab. They are today sanctioning and they're getting organized, and they have lots of dog shows which are championship shows, and they have some wonderful judges who are actually judging the shows. So it's quite heartening that people in this country are getting together and enjoying the game. But we have another registry which is supposed to be the biggest of them all. The only way they're biggest is because they have sort of a connection with one of the biggest operators in the world, which is a good organization, I would say. But they don't get involved with local issues. They recognize one organization in each country. That is their policy. And they have to pay them to get recognized. So this organization in India, which is run by a syndicate and his sycophants, they are paying this organization, which is the biggest in the world for now, which is because they affiliate, they have about 80 or 85 or more. I would not be able to tell you exactly. So what they do is they pay and they get a affiliation, sort of a membership sort of a thing. So in that case, so you know what happens is the papers that are recognized by, issued by this organization will be accepted in other countries where that organization is active. So that's the whole thing. But the papers of this organization in this country, whether they're genuine, what has come of our dog registration system today? Let me just quickly run down from the yesteryears and to today. So here I have a registration paper, which I am just unfolding to you. Here this one is a microchip. As you can see, this contains a syringe and there is a small chip inside which can be inserted into the neck area of a dog, and which only can be seen if you scan, if you have a scanner. I have one, but it's not okay. You have to scan, and then you get a number. The number is in this small chip. It's a small, maybe a size of a rice, which a number is. That's the only thing, is a number. Then this paper has that number written. So what is done is, this syndicate sells this paper and this chip and sends it. So you can insert the chip into any dog, maybe say golden retriever. The most lousiest golden retriever puppy you buy from the market, and you just buy this paper, which is available in the market, freely, and insert it. So the registry belongs to that. And most people in this country are aware of this now. But still they say, well, they think, golden retrievers all would be, they are golden retrievers after all. So if they have a very nice paper and a chip put in, so it proves that the paper belongs to that puppy. But the puppy actually does not belong to that paper. You get my point? That puppy belongs to some other parentage. But once you insert that chip, so now, in the earlier years, the cost of this paper were only 4 rupees. I used to register my dog, 4 rupees. And then now it's several hundred rupees, 400, 500 rupees. And then you got to pay for what? Magazine and this and that. And then if there's a time bar and then you cross, then you pay double. And then you got to register the entire litter. So you have 10 puppies, you got to register. You have to register them. The worst of the puppies are also registered. Now, the registration system of this big club is the slowest in the world. Maybe 2, 3, 4 months or maybe 6 months is what usual time taken for the registration to actually arrive and you get it physically. So what happens? There are very few people who are desperate at registering. There are some people, of course, I very much appreciate. They have to be adamant and they have to pursue it, because they know that if they don't register their dogs, the dogs lose their parentage. Because they have taken so much pains and so much money involved and so much, effort, sweat to get these dogs down and breed from them. And if they are not able to get the correct papers, then the whole things will fall apart. But that is a very small percentage of people in the country. But then what happens? Anybody who goes to buy a dog says, do I get a paper? Usually what happens in today's market in India, they will say it will take a few months, because everybody wants this paper. Because this paper is nothing special, I tell you. The only thing that this organization is paying an organization international organization just to mint money here. They are selling this paper 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 100 for a piece of paper which has no authenticity. You check the DNA of these dogs and they will not match, most of them. There are, of course, the very, very sincere and, breeders who are actually want to pursue this fancy in the best possible manner, and they want their dogs to be registered, and also maybe they are able to export if somebody wants. But I can tell you, and most of the people in the country know, that most of these papers are actually false. They don't belong to the dog that is actually owning it. Or the dog do not belong to that paper. That's it. But there is a paper and a microchip. Maybe the breeds will match. It's not that a Labrador paper, of course you can put this microchip into a Great Dane or a donkey maybe, but usually what Labrador paper is used on Labrador only. But this is the situation in this country. And the exercise is total corruption. That's why the matters are in court, and I will not like to deliberate much in this matter further. But what I would suggest, see, there are 3 different registries in the country. Now, dog lovers are dog lovers. There are hundreds and hundreds of pet shows running in this country. They don't want to go to championship shows. Why they don't want to go to championship shows, as you know, I have spoken and will speak again, and others will also speak to you about it, is all fixed. Because there is a money trail. So the judges who are coming are actually tutored to come in India and put up certain dogs. And so how things are in operation. The microchips has come here to stay. Now, this microchip, what is the purpose of the microchip? The microchip, if you take the dog to a dog show, a dog show organized by a certain club who issues the microchip, then they will scan it to find out whether the dog is microchipped or not. So that's it. So what you do is, you just insert the microchip, inserting into a dog, you just put it here, in the leash, in the fold, easy, very simple. So once you do that, you put the leash onto the dog, and once you check with the scanner, instantly the number springs up on the screen, and you find that, it's done. So then later on, you switch this leash and use it on a different dog. And the dog may not be a champion, you go straight to the champion class, because the microchip on this dog, which is of course on the leash, proves that the dog, because the scanner, we cannot tell you, scanner just finds that microchip is mechanical. It's just digital and it just shows a number. Now, so most of the people who are buying dogs now, puppies in this country, are aware that these papers are actually false, and they don't. So unless that microchip is actually associated with DNA testing papers of that puppy or the dog, it has no value at all. So finally what boils down that this microchip actually has no value. So it's just a piece of paper that is being sold for so many hundred, and with all the other paraphernalia and all the extra money that you have to pay to get a paper, and which is a huge sum. And then, supposing the cost of the paper is 500 or 800 or 1,000 rupees, but then people who are buying it and actually selling it to the person who's owning a dog, then they're buying it for double the amount. So it's a huge financial racket, huge racket that is in operation through the syndicate and its sycophants around the country. The other registries, of course, are more honest, I would say, because because the demand for those papers are not, as much as the papers which carries this microchip. And knowing fully well, because if you want to further register, you have to have 2 papers with microchips. So once you register, then you have 8 puppies, and also the value addition for adding that paper is 5,000-10,000 rupees on each puppy or more. So, maybe 20,000, but and people are paying because it comes with papers and a chip. Now this chip, actually, they tell you, it serves as a sort of identification for the dog, and it can be identified if your dog is lost or whatever. But in practicality, it's not such, because the reader is not available. The reader, most people will not be carrying. A local police station will not have a reader. A dog that is left loose on the road and maybe abandoned, can't be found, because most of the dogs are unregistered, first of all. And even if they are microchipped, there won't be a chip reader to find out the registration, the number of the dog, and relate to that. Because this is just private clubs which are actually just selling a few registrations, making a huge sum of money, and that's how it operates. Well, so it's actually the paper thing should be has to be looked into, and we have to assure that every dog has its DNA done and microchip number if required. Yes, then you got to have tattoo. Tattoo is more practical. I will tell you a few words on tattooing, because once you introduce tattooing, then we have across the country our veterinary surgeons, para-veterinary staff and all that who can be trained to do tattooing. So tattoo is something you can just check immediately, anybody. You don't need a reader. Your dog is lost, your dog is abandoned. If every dog is registered, which I mean, and this operation, I would suggest these private clubs may not be able to do it, because it's a huge registry. It will tantamount to millions and millions of animals and dogs across the country, which will require proper identification and registering. So if I would request people, dog clubs and animal fanciers, that some sort of identification should be done on behalf of the government. Anyway, so tattooing is so easy, simple, as once anybody can find out, oh, this is the number of the tattoo, so so you trace back. But then the chip, you have to have a reader, which is not available. So the myth about the paper, I think I am able to solve. And most of the dogs that you people are owning, actually the papers don't belong to the dog, or the dogs don't belong to the paper, because that is the system. So the papers, once they come from across the world, mostly they are very well preserved, they are very well documented, they have DNA done, and they have all that, and they have. But once they come into this country and you start breeding from those stock, then they get diluted, and then you have, all these false papers being generated. And then the timing, this registry, the registry which actually pays the money to the other world organization, just to get a sort of a value addition to it. It's the only purpose is to sell papers. That's the only purpose, and to make the money. It's not to actually sort of run the dog world in a paper, means properly run a registry and sort of give each dog the correct identification. That is not the purpose. The purpose is to collect huge sums of money, which they are using for fighting court cases. If anybody wants to sort of, they think there is a threat that they are actually speaking against of the organization. India is a vast country. Truly vast country. Maybe area-wise we are not as big as America, but India, population-wise, is several times bigger than America. We have 28 states and 8 union territories, and this population, empowered population of this present India, which can afford the best of cars, the best of luxury, the best of everything. A section of the people can afford. And of course, so they all own dogs, maybe several dogs, dozens of dogs, exotic dogs. So the registry should be properly done. So I will end this episode by saying that we need to do something so that this corruption in this paper has no value. I would suggest the veterinarians, the government organization, all should come forward, should find out a way that a proper registration system can be in place instead of this cheating that is going on across the country. With this, I end this episode, and again soon I will my Animals and Pets with Partha will have very pleasant and wonderful personalities from the animal world and the pet world and the dog world and the cat world to speak to you and share their journey. But sometimes I will come back and sort of bring to you, expose all that we need to look into and we need to rectify for the future generation. We need to have the animal world set. It should set an example to the world. We should be, I am sure, in time to come, we are going to definitely have a foolproof system in place. I am aware of what can be done. And, I told you how the chip, there are various other ways how the microchip can be misused. Well, I'm no Sherlock Holmes. And, so what I know, I'm sure many others can also find out if they try. And thank you for listening to me, but I would request that I can bring you very, very important episodes that you will enjoy, and it will give your mind something to think about, something that you may be able to do. We all need to put in our efforts. Then only we can achieve something in this very big India. And an animal world in India is really vast. I would say, please think what we can do for the voiceless. Thank you. But before I sign off tonight, I would request you to please subscribe. I need a lot of subscriptions, because I'm working so hard to bring you so much from the animal world. So the subscription to me is very important. and then please click on the bell button so that my uploads will reach you and you'll be intimated. And then like and share it with your animal loving friends. Bye. See you again soon.